Hello everyone, welcome to Maid Mansion. This is a visual novel that I got at the exact same time I got the Scarlet Maiden game, as it's from the same publisher on Steam. And so I don't know, this visual novel seemed interesting enough. I've seen a few anime with the exact same premise, or a similar premise at least. Basically, a guy gets inherited a mansion full of maids. I bet you wouldn't have seen that coming. Anyway, let's start the game, or the VN, or whatever. My protagonist's name, Aura. Aura Kawajiri? Sure, let's go with that. Why not? I couldn't take a walk that day. Of course I couldn't take a walk on any other weekday, since my middle management job at the factory required perfect attendance. My grandfather who got me the job would definitely take offense if I neglected my duty. It was also raining that day, so taking a walk was even more impossible than usual. It came down like a torrent, unusual for the time of the year, and the sound of it against my window made it difficult to focus on work that morning. Torrent? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm thinking of like a torrent, like uTorrent, but I don't know if that's correct, just because it makes me think of a file name, but maybe that's, I have no idea, okay? Okay. So, I was almost relieved when my assistant arrived and knocked on my door. Okay. Hello, assistant. Aura? Yeah? I instantly regretted addressing her in such a casual way. The look on Umiko's face was in no way casual or anything I had seen before. I mean, what is it, Umiko? Also, I think there's a storm outside. Hopefully my power doesn't go out while I'm recording. Let's hope not. Okay, I'm sorry, Aura, but I have some terrible news. What is it? What's wrong? As Umiko leaned in closer to me, I felt my eyes drawn to her ample chest. This was a perfect angle, allowing me to see right into her cleavage. However, it clearly wasn't the time for that. Snap out of it, man. Smack, smack, smack. Snap out of it, okay? This is not the time or the place. But damn, Umiko's normally confident voice was soft and timid, and her eyes welled up with tears. Chief Kawajiri has died. What? I'm so sorry for your loss. My grandfather was... Are you certain? The phone call just came in. I haven't told anybody yet. You're the first. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. How did it happen? They said his heart gave out last night while he slept. His heart? Wow, that's hard to swallow. I'm praying that whoever said that he died of like a heart attack in his sleep, I hope they were like underplaying it. Not in that way, okay? That might sound fucked up. I'm talking about, like, I hope, like, his heart gave out, but he wasn't exactly asleep. I hope Grandpa went out like a champion. Okay? Okay. His heart, wow, that's hard to swallow. If I may ask, how old was the chief? 86, I think? Or maybe 87? Really, he always seems so energetic, so full of life. Yeah, he really was. Umiko looked at me, and I could easily see she was just as shaken by the news as I was. She had greatly respected my grandfather. Heck, everyone had greatly respected my grandfather. He was a proud war hero, and only after negotiating free passage for his entire crew of 600, tried for war crimes but acquitted in every single case. After the war, he took over a ruined factory and turned it into a vastly profitable business all by himself. He even had a place in it for me, his slacker grandson. No matter how hard I tried, I could never hope to live up to his legacy. So, what happens next? The board of directors are probably being informed right now. They'll decide how to move forward. I mean, his factory is a symbol of Chief Kawajiri's achievements. They'll want to give him a worthy send-off. I'm sure they will. Why does everyone always die at the start of, like, games? Like, I'm pretty sure, like, okay, hear me out. Not all the time, but some of the better ones, people die at the start. Like Summertime Saga, you start at your fucking dad's funeral. Like, why are you... What? Like, can we stop equating death and sex? Like I get it. Like, okay, people are horny bastards, but like, why you gotta make me sad? Is it supposed to like build it up? Like you're so sad you make your dick cry or something? Okay. Do you want me to call the upper management? Huh? Why? Maybe you want to take the rest of the day off. It'll be understandable since a family member has passed away. No, that won't be necessary. My grandfather was always very strict about fulfilling my duties. He wouldn't want me to use his death as an excuse to ditch work. Besides, if the directors are making all the arrangements, then they won't want me to. Aura. Huh? What do you want? Umiko looked at me with a serious expression. She was clearly concerned about me. How very much like her. Umiko had always been like this. She always did her best to make sure that I was alright. It's because of how much she cared about me that we quickly got on a first-name basis, both on and off working hours. I never liked being called Young Chief or Manager Kawajiri. Thankfully, Umiko understood immediately and started calling me Aura. It's always weird when like the name is actually incorporated. Over time, I'd come to rely heavily on her reasoning and judgment to make working decisions. But still, as the higher authority, I'm the one who made the final decisions. And at times like these, despite her advice, I could do what I felt was right. Don't worry, Umiko, I'll be fine. I flashed her a smile to try and convince her. Are you sure? Yes, my grandfather and I weren't very close. I'm thankful for all he's done for me, but we didn't meet or talk very often at all. Besides, the board of directors will probably let everybody leave early today. What better way to honor the man who rebuilt this factory with his own hands, right? Okay. Umiko accepted my response and turned to leave. She had her own job to do. My optimism would turn out to be naive, however. The factory didn't close early. They didn't even announce my grandfather was dead. Only the usual patriotic messages played on the PA system, just like any other day. Love your country. Respect the Gazoku. I think. Watch for spies and saboteurs. Report all suspicious activity to the police. It wasn't until 5 minutes before closing time when it was finally announced. Attention all workers, Shinjin Kawajiri, the founder of the company and the man whose lifetime achievement is the reason you are able to earn a living here, passed away today. Anybody who wishes to pay respects to the man who has provided for all of us is hereby allowed to stay and work an additional 2 hours in honor of all he has done for us. I let out a disappointed sigh. By is allowed to, they actually meant is expected to. Who'd want to be the one guy that didn't pay respects to Chief Kawajiri? I'd be stuck here for longer than I thought. The days passed normally after that, the work proceeding like usual. Eventually, the date for my grandfather's funeral was announced. It would be an enormous public event, fitting for someone with such a lofty reputation among the people. The entire board of directors was there, together with their wives. I'm sorry, I know this is a funeral and I know this is an art style. A lot of people make paintings like this. That guy on the far right looks like a potato with glasses, or woman. I don't know. They look like a potato with glasses, okay? Okay, like, I'm sorry. I know this is supposed to be a sad moment, but, like, potatoes are delicious, man. The entire board of directors was there, together with their wives. Even the mayor attended and spoke a few words for my late grandfather. 4 different TV stations recorded the event, and tons of people I'd never even heard about came to pay their respects. Among a crowd like that, someone like me didn't stand out at all. It didn't bother me, though. I wasn't the kind of person who craved attention, and especially now, I was happy to be left in peace. Umiko stood at my side and quickly noticed the obvious. Didn't the chief have more relatives? Nobody here seems to be his family except you. I'm pretty sure I'm the only family he has left. Really? All of our male relatives died in the war, and my mother died in the following riots. One of my aunts fled the country, and the other, well, I heard she did some awful things, got arrested, and died in prison. Oh, my grandmother also died 2 years ago. Yes, I remember. That was the only day I ever saw Chief Kawajiri show any emotion. She raised me, you know. I was only 4 years old when my mother died, so she was the only parental figure I really knew. Grandfather was never there for me like she was. That's just so sad. He was still running the factory back then, right? He was probably just too busy managing his business. No, that's not it. Even after he retired, he never made time for me. He moved out of the house to live in some mansion miles away, and I never saw him again. Well, he still cared about you. Didn't he send you to a good school and give you a job at his factory? Yeah, but he never asked me whether I wanted it. I was hoping to go to university and study, but he wouldn't allow it. Instead, I had to quit after high school to go work at his lousy... Aura, not so loud! The others are already looking! I looked around and saw quite a few heads turned in our direction. I understand that you have reasons to be angry at your grandfather, but this is his funeral. You shouldn't talk badly of him at a time like this. You're right, I'm sorry. After a few moments, the people around us seemed to lose interest and turn their attention elsewhere. It's okay, just try to be a bit more mindful next time and... My mobile phone rang loudly. Heads once again turned towards me. You didn't turn it off? Sorry, I forgot. No one usually calls me anyway. I quickly pulled out the device and answered the call. Hey, is this urgent? Am I speaking with Aura Kawajiri? Yes, who's asking? My name is Benkai. I was your grandfather. I didn't see the second line of that sentence. I was like, oh my god, you're alive! You're a ghost! Oh no! Okay. My name is Benkai. I was your father, Shinjin Kawajiri's grandfather. What the frick did I just say? My name is Benkai. I was your grandfather, Shinjin Kawajiri's attorney. My condolences. Thank you? Sensing that this call might be important after all, I walked a short distance from the rest of the crowd. Umiko followed, seeming curious. Might I trouble you to join me at your grandfather's estate? Sure, I can stop by sometime tomorrow. Not tomorrow, today, right after the ceremony concludes. What? Is it that urgent? Yes, it is quite important. But, are you serious? That's more than a little inconvenient. Who are you talking with, Aura? Some attorney. He says I should go to my grandfather's mansion right after the ceremony. What? Let me speak to him. Mr. Benkai, my secretary handles my appointments, so I'll let you talk to her. I passed my phone to Umiko, who put the call on speaker so I could hear. Mr. Benkai? Yes? I'm sorry, but what you're asking for is impossible. Mr. Kawajiri is in mourning and... This is Umiko Kitamura, I assume. That's, yes, I'm Umiko. Then I'll extend the invitation to you as well. You will find it quite important to attend. What? How am I involved in this? I've been named as the executor of Shinjin Kawajiri's last will and testament, which mentions you in person, Miss Kitamura. Kitamura. Huh? Chief Kawajiri mentioned me in his will? Correct. Umiko looked at me, open-mouthed and shocked. I sighed and took my phone back, since she looked unable to continue talking. It's Aura again. Look, why can't we make an appointment for another day? Your grandfather explicitly states that his will must be executed without delay, Mr. Kawajiri. I assume you want to respect his dying wishes, or do you not? By which, of course, he meant, or do you not want to inherit his considerable fortune? Of course I'll do it.
Then I suggest we all meet at Kawajiri Estate in a few hours. Do you agree?
I do. Umiko? Well, if Chief Kawajiri wanted it, then of course I'll go.
Very good. I hope to see you soon. Now, I have many arrangements to make, so I'm afraid I can't talk any longer. Goodbye, Mr. Kawajiri.
And just like that, the call was over. That was strangely unsettling. I agree. Have you spoken with that guy before? No way. I don't know any of my grandfather's personal contacts, much less his attorney. I have no idea how he found my phone number. It must be something super urgent. I mean, Chief Kawajiri isn't even buried yet, and someone's already executing his will. Well, it sure does sound like something my grandfather would ask for. You think so? Calling me away from a funeral because he has something important to say? Yeah, that's absolutely like him. But it's his funeral. Even less reason to bother. He wouldn't want me to waste any time mourning him if it got in the way of what he wanted. The two of us fell silent after that and didn't speak much for the rest of the ceremony. Umiko and I left the funeral as early as we could without offending my grandfather's memory. To our relief, everybody's attention was more focused on more prominent members of society. We immediately headed for my car and drove towards the countryside. My grandfather's estate was over an hour's drive from the city. There was nothing nearby except rolling hills, rural villages, and mile after mile of safflower fields. The residents had formed safflowers there for centuries. It was a business so traditional and established that not even the war could change it. I wonder what the frick this war was. Was it a real war, or was it a fictional war that took place in this universe? Who knows? It could be anything. You know, it could be the war of Candyland, or I don't know. Well, actually, one thing had changed in the last few years. The safflower fields used to belong to the local farmers, but soon after my grandfather retired and settled nearby, they all belonged to him. There was some resistance at first, but supposedly my grandfather offered them so much money for their land and businesses that they couldn't say no. At least, that's what the newspapers said. Knowing my grandfather, he probably made them a different kind of offer they couldn't refuse. As the fields continued to pass by the car window, we quickly approached the grand centerpiece of such a landscape. The mansion stood at the top of the highest hill nearby, surrounded by a small forest of decorative trees. It completely dwarfed all the houses we had seen on our way, and there wasn't a single safflower to be seen near it. Just as extravagant and pompous as I expected from my grandfather. Wow, this is huge. You've never been here? No, never. I've heard about it, but I didn't expect it to be this spacious. I'm surprised that you're so calm seeing it. Oh, I visited this place a few years ago. It hasn't changed much since then. I see. Well, let's go inside, shall we? Umiko and I walked towards the main entrance, but before we could reach it, someone came out to greet us. Oh, Umiko. No, Umiko, that's not a maid, that's a prostitute, okay? My grandfather wanted to hook me up so I wouldn't be in mourning, you know? The sad part is, that's like only half false. Is that a maid? Hello there, we're looking for... The woman bowed deeply before us. Welcome to the Kawajiri Estate, young master. It is a pleasure to meet you in person. Thank you? I am Takako Mamiya, a humble servant of the late master. I hope your journey has not been too taxing. Oh, not at all. Thanks for asking, Miss Mamiya. Mommy? Please call me Takako, young master. Okay, Takako. Mr. Benkai asked us to come here regarding my grandfather's will. Indeed, we have been expecting you. And we got an achievement. Welcome home, master. Everything has been prepared for you inside, young master. Shall I take your luggage, or will your servant handle that? Says servant, do you mean me? She's not my servant, Takako, and there's no luggage to be taken. Yeah, I'm Mr. Kawajiri's secretary. My name's Umiko Kitamura. It's nice to meet you. Takako didn't even look at Umiko while she introduced herself. Instead, her gaze remained fixated on me. If there is no luggage, will Miss Kitamura be staying by the car, or will she come inside? Of course she's coming inside. Mr. Benkai asked for her in person. As you wish, young master. Please follow me. Takako turned and walked into the mansion. I didn't know your grandfather had a maid. Yeah, I'm surprised too. The last time I was here, he lived alone. When was that? A few years ago, when he summoned me here to tell me I was being forced into the factory job. Oh. Well, I guess we should follow her. Umiko started walking after Takako, and not wanting to be left behind, I did the same. Whoa, this is huge.
That's what she said.
There's even a twin staircase. Yeah, and this is the only entrance hall. The entire mansion is pretty old. It was here even before my grandfather took over. This estate was built over 150 years ago, right after the Imperial Restoration. The owner greatly admired the culture overseas, so it was fashioned after Western architecture. Those were simpler times, back when things from foreign regions weren't vilified. It almost sounds like you have a soft spot for those times, Takako. Like before, Takako seemed to completely ignore Umiko's comment, her eyes never leaving me. The lounge is this way, young master. Umiko and I followed Takako to a doorway on the other side of the hall. As we walked, one of the other doors suddenly opened and a young woman stumbled out. You rang, Miss Takako? Takako turned to the new arrival with eyes like ice. I rang 5 minutes ago, Narumi. You are far too late to join me in greeting the young master. Sorry, Miss Takako. I was still occupied in the bathroom when I heard the bell and... Save your apologies. Go prepare some tea and scones for the young master. Yes, Miss Takako. The young maid bowed so quickly that her headpiece almost slipped over her eyes before turning to leave. Why am I very scared of this woman in front of me? Alright, I'm sorry for this display of incompetence, young master. Who is that? She'll introduce herself later. For now, please follow me. Alright, lead the way. Takako led us into what seemed to be a lounge or guest room. It looked quite cozy with a lavish design that felt strangely modern but also antique at the same time. Where's Mr. Benkai? Mr. Benkai unfortunately had to leave before you arrived. He seemed very busy. Still, he took the time to set everything up for you. Takako gestured to a briefcase that sat on a small glass table near the couch. Please have a seat, young master. Alright, thanks. Don't mind me. Umiko and I sat down and made ourselves comfortable while Takako opened the briefcase. The maid produced a small device and placed it on the table. You know, it would have been, like, I don't know why, but I'm just, like, picturing that the briefcase, all it had was a Krabby Patty for whatever reason. Like, you see here, Mr. Squarepants, everything you need is in this case here. The maid produced a small device and placed it on the table. Oh god, not this thing. What's this? It's a dictaphone? Some sort of old voice recorder. Last time I met my grandfather, he seemed obsessed with this thing. Only fitting that he'd record some dying message on it. Quite so, the late master recorded most of his last will on devices like this one. Is that even legal? Don't important things like that need to be in writing? Hey, don't just ignore me. Calm down, Umiko. Just listen for now. Fine. This dictaphone contains a message meant specifically for you, young master. Are you prepared to hear the late master's final words to you? Yes, I am. Go ahead and play the recording. Takako nodded and pressed a button on the dictaphone. At first, there was only silence. Then the three of us heard a deep breath and a familiar voice.
This is Shingen Kawajiri. If you are hearing this and my dictaphone has not been stolen, then I am no longer alive. If you are anyone except my grandson, then my dying wishes have been gravely disrespected, and you should be ashamed. However, if everything has gone as planned, then I must assume that it is you, Aura, who are listening. And for you, these will be the last words you hear from me. Alright then, let us get down to business, shall we? I am no longer around to take care of my estate, and you will be the one to take on the duty of managing it. But I am not so stupid as to make you the owner of it all. You would only sell everything, quit your job, and become a good-for-nothing... You would only sell everything, quit your job, and become a good-for-nothing spoiled brat. No, I will not allow that to happen. Instead, all my property will be given to a trust that you do not control. You will only receive a manager's salary and the right to live in this mansion with any family you have. Of course, I expect you to work for your pay. By now, you must have learned the basics of accounting from that factory job I gave you. Use that experience to run my estate to the best of your ability. If you ever fail to make a profit over the span of 2 years, then you will be tossed out. The trust will find someone more competent than you to manage my property.
Even in death, you distrust me so much, grandfather.
I expect you to take good care of everything here. The safflower business is not a hard one, but it requires dedication. If I have taught you anything during my life, then it should be that dedication, Aura.
I'm not gonna lie. If I heard this on, if this was the last will of someone to me, I would instantly be like, screw you guys, I'm going home. And I would just leave. I do not care. Fuck you. No. Like, if you distrust me that much, then why the fuck would I do that? No.
You will start your new job tomorrow if you need...
Wait, what? I briefly stopped the dictaphone to process what I just heard. Did the chief just say, you have to start working tomorrow? He definitely said it, but he can't be serious. That's way too soon. But he made it sound like you don't have a choice. Of course he did. That's just how my grandfather is. Heck, I don't really want to manage his estate in the first place, much less starting tomorrow. You mean you don't actually want this job? Of course not. I don't want to be stuck in the middle of nowhere watching over a bunch of farmers. The late master did love his safflower fields. Well, good for him, but I'm not like that. Regardless, I suggest we listen to the rest of the late master's message. Fine, let's hear what else that old coot has to say. I rewound the dictaphone a bit, then turned it back on.
That dedication, Aura. You will start your new job tomorrow. If you need more time than that, then the trust will cover the cost of hiring someone to make the arrangements for you. But you will start working here, and with minimal delay. That much I will make certain. The estate cannot be without leadership for long, or it will fall apart. To help you make the transition, I will arrange for the board of directors to immediately terminate your employment at my factory.
What the heck?
My no-good attorney says that 1 year's salary will be enough to compensate you for your lost job. I will give you 2 years' salary for good measure. You will also be allowed to keep that secretary of yours, Miss Umiko Kitamura. The factory will terminate her employment just like yours, and no compensation for her.
Chief, that's harsh.
I do not think you will need any other employees to manage my estate. However, if profits are high enough and you believe it is worth the investment, you may hire additional staff. Anyone you hire, though, must be approved by my mansion's head maid and caretaker. She is the one member of this household I will not allow you to fire or get rid of. Miss Takako Mamiya. I have come to trust her greatly over the years. She is a truly invaluable asset to the manor. She works hard and her experienced counsel will help you to adjust to your new lifestyle. She has always been there for me, and she will be there for you too. Use her as you see fit.
Takako bowed in response to grandfather's words, her mouth curved in a light smile. You honor me, master.
Of course, I have included her in my will too. As long as she wishes to serve this household, she will always have the right to live here and be paid for her services. Wages adjusted for inflation, of course. And that is all I have to say. I expect you to make me proud, Aura. Don't disappoint me.
And with that, the dictaphone stopped. Wow, the chief sure is thorough when making plans. Yeah, unfortunately. As I sat lost in thought, Takako bowed, this time in my direction. I am at your service, young master, as the late master wished. Thank you, Umiko. Yes? It looks like I don't have much of a choice in this, but you still do. What do you want to do? Will you stay as my assistant even as I become manager of this estate? Well, it sure beats being unemployed, right? I mean, of course I'll do it. You've always treated me well, so why would I refuse? Young master, I recommend you fire her. Her attitude towards work is somewhat shady. I'm not gonna lie, if I was the young master, I would just leave because like come on. Okay? Like, what is it? Like this dude clearly respects his grandfather a lot. Like even though the grandfather died, he still finished the day of work just to like honor his grandfather. But the grandfather didn't even trust him enough to be more than a simple manager of this fucking estate. I just leave and I'd say, fuck that. I love you, granddad. No, okay? I've followed your rules. Like, I've been doing what you've said for the past several years, and you still don't trust me, even though you're dead. God, no. Bye. Okay? You're rude. Shady. Why you... What are you saying, Takako? I'm definitely not firing her. Stay calm, Umiko. You can have the job if you want it. But she... Just tell me that you accept, okay? She said Ugh, fine. Umiko relented with a brief sigh. I'll take the job, Aura. After hearing that, to my surprise, Takako bowed distinctly towards Umiko. Then welcome at the Kawajiri estate, Miss Umiko. If you don't mind, Miss Mamiya, I'd prefer if you called me by my last name. I'm afraid that is not possible, Miss Umiko. And why would that be? You are now employed by the Kawajiri household. Those working for the master must be addressed by their given names. That is what traditional demands, so I cannot comply with your request. You can take that tradition and shove it up your... Well, Umiko, take it easy. I'm not gonna be on a first name basis with that. Miss Umiko, are you saying that you are not willing to follow the tradition of the Kawajiri household? She is, of course she is willing. Aura, why are you agreeing with her? I quickly leaned closer to Umiko, lowering my voice to a whisper. Try and remember what my grandfather said, Umiko. Takako needs to approve anyone who gets hired into this household. So what? That means you can't work here if she rejects you. I'm pretty sure that's why she's acting this way. You mean she's testing you? She wants to see if you can play by her rules. So I have to go along with this or I'll get thrown out? Yes, please bear with her. I don't want to lose you over something so trivial. Okay. After taking a deep breath, Umiko stood up to address the maid. Miss Takako? Yes, Miss Umiko? Umiko bowed in Takako's direction. I apologize for my outburst a minute ago. If it's customary in this household, then of course I will let you address me by my first name. Takako bowed back, though visibly less deep. Then once again, I welcome you to the Kawajiri estate. I hope we can cooperate to better serve the young master. Likewise. Seeming to come to an agreement, the two both turned their eyes to me. Well, if that's settled, then I hope you'll both excuse me. I need to drive back to town. What for, young master? If I'll be living here starting tomorrow, at least I need to get some clothes and things from home. I should also tell my landlord that I'm moving out and make other arrangements. You need not do that yourself, young master. Please stay here and I will take care of those arrangements for you. Well, wait a minute. This is a job for a secretary, not a maid. I should do it. With all due respect, Miss Umiko, taking care of the master's living arrangement is an act of hospitality and thus the duty of a maid. But I'm more familiar with this kind of work and can do it faster. Do you even know where Aura lives anyway? I thought we had an understanding of your position in this household, Miss Umiko. Need I remind you of... You remind me? After only a moment of peace, they started arguing again. I couldn't let this continue. I had to pick a side. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna save, but like my immediate thing was like I thought he was gonna be like, oh, I'll just take care of it. Like I'll just do this. Stop this, both of you. But just stop it. I can't stand another minute of you two fighting. Young master, all I wanted was, I don't care what either of you wanted. What I wanted was to drive home, grab some fresh clothes, and cancel my tenancy. And that's exactly what I'll do, since you two seem incapable of doing anything but fight. Aura, I'll be back in a few hours. Please wait, young master. And I'll be really happy if you sort out your differences while I'm gone. That's all. Goodbye. With that, I stormed out of the mansion to my car.
What's up, guys? Kaori here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more, check out our previous video here. There's also a video that was picked up by YouTube just for you. And lastly, you can click here to subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Peace off.